Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Sheikh, and today we are going to have a brief discussion about the EB5 visa program and alternative strategies that can help applicants get permanent residence in the US for about 40% of the cost of EB5 visas and in less than one third the time it normally takes for EB5 visas. So, so, what are EB5 visas? Why do investors use it? And are they safe, quick, and affordable? So EB5 visas are usually used by investors to get PR in the US by investing at least $800,000 in a business in a TEA or over $1 million in any major metropolitan area. And EB5 visa investors often have to face a long backlog, especially if they're from India, China, or Vietnam. And Indians usually have to wait 6 to 8 years to get their temporary green cards. Chinese have to wait over a dozen years, and even Vietnamese have to wait over 6 years, according to the latest US visa bulletin. And one thing we all need to remember is over 26% of EB5 visa investors have filed complaints and lawsuits alleging fraud by regional centers and marketing agents and even attorneys. As per the AIIA, the number of petitions in the newly created subcategories of EB5 visa for a set aside aren't clearly reported, and due to this, a lot of securities fraud is being committed against EB5 visa investors. So, in short, if you look at the cost and you compare it to Portugal, Greece, Canada, or even EB1C in the US, the EB5 visa is definitely unaffordable, and because of the large amount of complaints and lawsuits, it's also unsafe, and it's also a whole lot slower compared to alternative categories available not only in Europe and Canada but also in the US as well. So one thing we need to keep in mind is that you cannot directly get temporary residence visas on EB5 visas, but you can definitely get them under the L1, L2 category if you were to go with the EB1C route because you're doing a joint venture. Second, you can't get PR directly, but you will not get an unconditional permanent green card directly under EB5 visa, but you can definitely get it in 2 to 4 years under the EB1C category. And for an Indian investor, you will be lucky if you get your temporary green card after 6 years and permanent green card after 14 years due to the visa backlogs and NVC backlogs. And on the other hand, investors can easily get permanent green cards in 2 to maximum 4 years via consular processing under the EB1C visa category. And obviously, the cost plus the TCS overhead for EB5 is $1.1 million, and for EB1C, the cost plus fees plus TCS overhead is approximately $400,000. So it's definitely a lot more affordable and a lot more safer compared to EB5 visas. And the investment amount is returned after 10 years for EB5 visas, and in EB1C normally you get it back after 3.5 years. And with EB1C you have a guaranteed return on investment, and you will never get a guaranteed return on investment with EB5. And there is zero guarantee of a prompt and full fee and capital return if an investor is denied due to the regional center's fault, and we guarantee that your money will be returned quickly within 6 months if you are denied due to our fault. How can investors safely and quickly get PR in America for an affordable price? Most investors can safely and quickly get PR in the US for an investment of $320,000 in maximum 4 years, normally 2 to 4 years, by investing in safe small businesses under the EB1C category with a joint venture. It usually takes investors 2 to 4 years to get PR under the EB1 category, depending primarily on your country of birth and whether you already have your own business. So, for Indian or Chinese or even Vietnamese investors who don't own their own business, they will need a maximum of 4 years to get their permanent green cards under the EB1C category. In contrast, if you have your own business, it will take you maximum 2 to 3 years to get your permanent green card. In contrast, Indian investors wait over 6 years to get temporary green cards under the EB5 visa category and over 10 years to get permanent green cards under the EB5 visa category. So basically, you're going to spend only 40% of what you would spend under EB5 if you choose EB1C, and it's also a whole lot safer and faster. As you can see, there's complete safety in EB1C versus a super high risk in EB5. Obviously, the risk of capital loss has always been there for the last 20 plus years in EB5, but more importantly, nowadays we are seeing a high risk of deportation under EB5 due to failure to comply with EB5 visa requirements such as job creation and source of funds documentation. And there is no guarantee that even if you get a temporary green card in the EB5 visa category, you will also get a permanent green card. And USCIS statistics show that over 35% of those who apply for EB5 visas don't even get permanent green cards. And many EB5 visa investors have been ordered deported because their petitions were denied either at the 526 or the 829 stage due to either inadequate source of funds documentation or inadequate job creation. And with us under the EB1C category, there is zero risk of deportation or the denial of your petition, and you get your petition approved very quickly. And the best part is the cost is a whole lot less. And obviously, with the EB1C category, you get a permanent green card right away, and this eliminates uncertainty and the risk of future deportation because you fail to meet with the conditions later on. So, as discussed earlier, you can see that you're going to not only get higher returns, which is an added bonus, but you'll be paying a lower amount in fees and TCS overhead if you're an Indian, and also you'll be paying a lot less in capital investment compared to EB5. So you're going to be investing usually about $700,000 less in EB1C compared to EB5, and that is something you can't ignore. And even if you were to look at the Grenada citizenship option, you simply can't ignore the fact that even compared to that, EB1C visas are faster, cheaper, and safer. And unlike the E2 visa, which is discretionary and has zero guarantee of being issued or renewed, with EB1C you get a permanent green card, and we back up our offerings with a full fee and investment return guarantee. With EB5 visas, it takes about 3.5 to 5 years to get your 526 approval and about 3 to 3.5 years to get your 829 approval. And on top of that, there's a 6 year backlog for Indian EB5 visa investors and a similar backlog for Vietnamese and a significantly larger backlog for Chinese investors. In contrast, EB1C visa petitions are usually adjudicated in maximum 2 months with the premium processing option, which means that not only do you get your petition approved faster, you also get your PR faster. And in fact, Indian and Chinese EB1C investors can get their permanent green cards in about one third to half the time it would take to get temporary green cards in the EB5 visa category And you can also get American residence visas in 4 to 6 months if you were to go with the EB1C category by getting the L1 category visas. So, how do investors qualify for PR in the US under the EB1C category? So, if you're doing a joint venture, you're eligible to apply for permanent residence right away. And with us, a small investment of $320,000 in new JV business is all that's needed to be eligible to apply for PR right away under the EB1C category. And we do joint ventures with our EB1C investors and invest even our own money along with the investors in safe businesses in safe locations. And this helps us avoid losses. And the best part is, unlike EB5 visa investors, we can guarantee the return of capital, and with us, the risk of capital loss is very low. EB5 visa investors will never get a return guarantee of return of capital and a return on investment, while we can offer both guarantees to our investors. So Indian investors have to spend a whole lot more for EB5 visas compared to, for instance, Chinese or Vietnamese investors, because there's a 20% TCS for all outbound remittances that exceed $9,000 a year if you're an Indian citizen. So for EB5 visa investments of, let's say, $800,000 plus $120,000 in admin and legal fees, the TCS overhead itself is $184,000. That means that the total cost for EB5 visa investors easily exceeds $1.1 million when we count the costs plus fees plus the TCS overhead. For EB1C visa investors, the TCS for investment plus fees is $74,000, which is 40% of what you would pay if you were an EB5 visa investor. And your EB1C total cost would be about 400,000 and some dollars, and that's about six to $700,000 cheaper compared to EB5 visas. Our capital stack is usually 640,000 to $700,000 per investment, out of which the investor invests half and we invest the other half, and both of us own the business equally in 50-50% shares, and we buy out our investors after 3 to 3.5 years. We usually invest in new businesses such as real estate brokerages, mortgage brokerages, auto parts, auto repairs, and even groceries. And we always include a mandatory buyout clause due to which the investor is guaranteed to get their money back. And EB5 visa investors do not get a guaranteed return of funds, and several thousand EB5 visa investors have not only experienced capital losses, but they've actually filed lawsuits and police complaints with the SEC and the FBI for fraud and other felonies against regional centers and unscrupulous immigration attorneys. With us, our clients always have a right to audit, and we always offer an open books policy, which means that we are the most transparent people to do business with. EB5 visa investors will never get even a small fraction of that level of transparency. And this goes ahead and gives you a major advantage, because with us, you know that there is going to be no fraud, and when there is an absence of fraud, the chances of loss are significantly lower. We offer a 100% fee refund guarantee if an investor is denied due to our fault, and most regional centers will never offer this guarantee. So, what's the process? How do you go ahead and get started? You just have to send us your ID documents so that we'll prepare your contracts. You then remit our fees after you sign the contract, and after that, we'll be forming the company. You remit your investment amount into the company's bank account. We lease the space, hire a couple of initial employees, and then we go ahead and have the lawyer file your visa petition. It usually takes 2 months to 2.5 months to get your L1 visas approved so that you can come to the US with your families. And after a year or so, you'll be eligible to apply for your green cards and get it. If you'd like to give yourself an undeniable advantage by choosing the EB1C visa program, please go ahead and reach out to me. My email address, my Skype address, my mobile and WhatsApp number are all listed on the slide, and you can reach out to me whenever you feel ready to get started. Thank you and have a great day.